France for a traditional event, which is the presentation of the program of the 21st edition of the COLCOA Film Festival. Most of you know what COLCOA is all about, but I think, I would like to say again a few words about this wonderful festival. It's been founded 21 years ago, by the Franco-American Cultural Fund, and it's held at the Directors Guild of America. And COLCOA is the only film festival that is entirely dedicated to French films, since 2015, French TV programs as well. COLCOA is a big highlight for the cultural services of the consulate, and a not to be missed event in which they are actively involved. So it's my great pleasure, and it's our great pleasure tonight to launch the new edition of COLCOA. And it's eclectic programming. I have to say just one few things. François had the great idea in terms of schedule to make COLCOA start the day after the first round of the French presidential election, and it will end just before the second round of the French election. So thanks to François, we will be able to spend this time that is usually a bit complicated, because we're craving to know who's going to be our new president, and thanks to François, I think waiting would be easier this year. So, needless to say that it's a very exciting edition this year, and I wanted to thank all the team COLCOA that was involved in this, as well as the cultural services of the consulate, who played an important role, especially for some kind of novelties that will be at the COLCOA this year, project of VR especially, that will be visible at COLCOA. And we couldn't be more happy to be this year again the partner of COLCOA, and we are kind of really elated to be part of this adventure. So, talking about COLCOA, of course, there's someone not to be missed, is François Truffart, that I would like to thank very, very warmly, as well as all the team at the Directors Guild of America. I know some of them are here tonight with us, and I wanted to thank them, as well as the WGA and the MPA and the SACEM, all those guilds that apported the support to COLCOA, and they're very dear to us for this festival. And last but not least, I would like to thank COLCOA sponsors, RTL Nuit, TV5 Monde, Variety, and Elma. Thanks to all those great and positive energy, François made it this year again to have a 21st edition, and to give you a taste of what you will have in April, we will try to give you a bit of preview of the program tonight, and I'm very happy to welcome on stage François Truffart, that is here, as well as Peter Debruge, Variety's chief film critic, that made us the pleasure to be with us tonight to have this discussion about the COLCOA's program. So thank you for being all here tonight, and I think before entering the discussion, we will look at a little presentation that will be shown on the screen behind me. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jean-Noël Tronc, the president of the French-American Cultural Fund, with you for the discovery of the program of the 21st edition of COLCOA this year, the famous City of Lights, City of Angel, French movies and TV series festival. This year we'll be celebrating our 21st anniversary, and it's a coming-of-age celebration. As you may know, COLCOA is a common dream and today realization of the Directors Guilds, the Writers Guilds, the Motion Picture Association, and SACEM. And together we celebrate every year the extraordinary creativity of directors but also writers, producers and composers on both sides of the Atlantic. We are very proud to present a large scope of creation this year, and in these troubled political times, you will see that the French creators are not afraid to treat the multiple problems facing our world today. We are delighted to welcome the great director Claude Lelouch, 50 years after his masterpiece, A Man and a Woman. And we are very proud to present directors from France that will come and convey their enthusiasm to the audience at the DGA screenings. I hope you will come to COLCOA, as numerous as in the previous years, to share this wonderful program of laughter and emotion. Long live cinema and long live the French-American friendship. Thank you.
All right, so we thought that this year we would maybe change the format a little bit. Instead of, there's a 43-page document in all of your dossiers here, and we'll let you digest all of the great films that have been selected this year from that on your own time. But in the spirit of the festival itself, which every year COLCOA really offers Los Angeles an incredible opportunity. Basically, as someone who goes to quite a few festivals, there's a kind of French film that I see at film festivals, and it's auteur driven. It's very personal. It's defiantly non-Hollywood in a lot of ways, and that's only one segment of the diversity that you find in French cinema. What you see in French cinema is very commercial, very polished Hollywood level thrillers, comedies, dramas, romances. You see documentaries, you see independent film, you see, of course, those movies that play Cannes and play Venice. And what you can find at COLCOA is a cross-section of the year and a real taste of what French cinema is up to in this calendar year. And so that's what François really does set out to do and what he brings to Los Angeles. And a lot of times, it's the only time a lot of those kind of movies ever reach these shores, because it's not necessarily the type that trickle into art houses. And so it gives us a chance to, I think, have a conversation around the spirit of the programming, kind of just to talk about what's going on with French cinema right now, and what's some of the selection process, and what's going, what he saw, what François saw as he was looking at films that he was auditioning for this year's lineup. So we'll do it a little bit more casually as a conversation that way. But I think maybe a good place to start, though, is letting you know some very new things that the festival's doing this year. In the past, it's always been film. Recently, a few years ago, you added television, and now this year, it's looking to webisodes and VR. Do you want to talk a little bit about adding those and what to expect from those sections?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Peter. And again, I have to thank a few people. First of all, the Consul General for hosting this announcement tonight. Also, everybody here, because I know you are a great support for the festival. And I also would like to mention some people of my team, because as you can imagine, COLCOA, we are a small team. We work all the year long, and I would like just to introduce you our associate producer, Anushka Van Riel, who is actually, she hasn't slept for several weeks. And it will be the same for the next weeks, actually. Je fais du Larsen, okay. And everybody, particularly also our new publicist, big time PR, Sylvia and all her team. So you will be in touch with them, because they are now the publicist of the festival, and we are very, very happy with that.
I used to think that was like a cliche. Have you noticed that, like, in a movie, you can never give a speech without them standing up to the microphone and giving a little feedback line? It's like a sound mixer's rule. It's like, it's just but I guess it happens.
Yeah, actually, I thought that sitting would be more relaxing for me. I don't think so now. I can say that. So anyway, thank you again for hosting this party, and I'm very impressed by all the situation here and all the people. So we actually went for a program. I've been the programmer of the festival for almost 13 years, I'm sorry. And the challenge every year is to think about what can we do for next year in order to still be an exciting event. We have to grow every year because we have an audience who are waiting for us. We have also new audiences coming, new generations. And so we try to find a way. And this year, actually, if there is something to remember in the program is, as you mentioned, the new presentation of new selections at COLCOA. Until last year, the cinema, the television, and the short film had the selection and competition. And this year, we are very proud to introduce, like almost every festival actually, a presentation of VR programs. France and artists in France are very well already work on this kind of a program, and we have some very exciting program to show. But also, and I'm very proud of it, we will introduce this year a competition of web series. And web series actually is something that we know. We just go on YouTube and you can see a lot of programs from professional or amateurs. Of course, we will show films and series from professionals actually, and which is interesting for me. And when I discovered this new format, is the fact that it's really a high-profile production style. I mean, really, it's like watching a movie. Most of the largest production company in France, studios like Studio Canal or EuropaCorp, are actually investing a lot of money now for these new formats. Usually it's 8 to 10 minutes by 10, and it's actually made for your tablets and computers. But what is interesting is that it's a new way to tell story, to write stories, because you have to make people excited. You want to make people stay and want to see every other episode. So it's a different way to build a story compared to a feature film. But in terms of production and quality, it's really amazing. So we're gonna have a competition for the audience the last day of the festival on May 2nd. With 6 programs, from documentaries to horror films and comedy, thrillers. We are very proud of it because we know that this is really the future, like VR for the program. It doesn't mean that cinema is not important at COLCOA anymore. It's still, and it's going to stay like this, the main part of the program, but I wanted to mention these 2 new series.
Well, when I think about web series, it's almost like something that France has sort of like a head start on, because if you look at French television, you have sometimes just in between shows, there are a number of these kind of like, it'll be like 3 or 5 minute recurring series, comedy series. I mean, Jean Dujardin basically got his start on something like that.
Absolutely.
A lot of talent kind of breaks out of that format.
In this program with his former wife, Alexandra Lamy, who actually will be at the festival this year. I mentioned it because she plays in the closing film of the festival, so she will attend the festival. We have a lot of actors and actresses coming this year, in addition to the filmmakers. Yes, you're absolutely right, and which is interesting with the web series and the producer of web series in France is the fact that when you produce a web series, you do it for the whole world. I mean, the audience is coming from everywhere in the world. So basically, most of the series are made in English. And some of them are produced for the American audience, shoot in LA. And I would say half of the French production is made in LA now, with American actors. So it's a very exciting area to explore. And I think it was really the time. We wanted to introduce it next year, but we just saw that this is really the moment to do it. Mm-hmm. So I really recommend you to come and see this very exciting part of the program.
Well, it's really a great example, I think, of one of those things where, like the short films, which you've included for years and years at the festival. And so if you guys come to COLCOA, you know that before most of the features, all of the features, there's a short film, and then you can come back on the last day of the festival and just watch a
On
program
Sunday, yes.
of nothing but shorts.
Mhm.
But in both cases, it's a chance to recognize earlier on in someone's career, and it's a chance for agents and people who might be interested in collaborating with stars or writer-directors. So web series are really another venue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the short program is still at COLCOA, and it's still a very popular program. And which it's really interesting is the fact that we really have an industry for shorts in France, which is different from other countries. And every year we have some people in LA saying, well, why do you spend so much money for a 10 minutes film? And that's the way it is in France. You are really some producer or specialized for short films. And even you have some, you even have some very big stars playing in them. This year we have a film with Isabelle Huppert. So this is really an important part of the industry, and we still continue to promote it, and we encourage you to come on Sunday for the competition. It's pretty much popular actually. We have a lot of people coming.
Well, like there was just that Oscar-nominated short film.
Of course.
That the woman in the TGV in the train there.
It's actually a film from Switzerland.
Yeah.
But we also had another short film nominated for the Oscar this year, which premiered at COLCOA last year. So we're very proud of it. At least a
Wait,
French film at COLCOA. Sorry.
This was the one, the interrogation.
Yes.
Foreign affairs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone who tried to get the French citizenship.
Yeah.
And so 10 years after Ma Vie en Rose,
Right.
French film from COLCOA at the Oscar.
Right. The COLCOA, the next Telluride Film Festival, is an Oscar predictor. Tell me, there are so many films in the festival, but can you give us a taste of maybe just some of the things that kind of surprised you, maybe as you were looking at the different eligible movies?
The good news for the COLCOA or the attendance at the festival is that they're going to see maybe 20% of what I see during the year. I start the programming just after COLCOA. I'm starting. It's a 1 year long process, and
there's a film from Cannes, for instance.
Yes,
Slack
absolutely.
Bay, the Bruno Dumont movie.
This year, absolutely. And we try to sort of, as you say, the diversity, which is where the diversity is actually the specificity of French cinema. And so we as you know, we do the same. We have big comedies, entertaining films, and film d'auteur, new. You mentioned it. We are very much focused on new talents, not only with the short but with the feature films. Just to mention one, there is a film on Saturday. You know, we have this series as usual on Saturday called French New Wave 2.0, and this year I'm just thinking about this one because it's an amazing film from someone you have to remember. His name is Morgan Simon, writer-director of a film called Taste of Ink, and this is just an example of some film that would be really important for us because we know that these people, this is the first film, this filmmaker, it's becoming we become a big talent.
Are there world premieres at this year's film festival? Or?
A lot of North American premiere and international premiere. International premiere means a first presentation outside France. We have two, as far as I know, we have two world premiere, and one of them is actually in the television program selection. You all remember a series called Call My Agent. The series was at COLCOA last year and won 2 prizes. It's now available on Netflix in the US. It's very, actually, as far as I know, it's very popular. And we are very proud because we're going to have the world premiere of the season 2 at COLCOA. So I know that a lot of people are waiting for this episode. So it's going to be on Wednesday after a panel about new formats. So we have a lot of people from television coming to talk about how they write, they develop series and even TV drama with a more international vision, and to be sure that this film can interest a lot of people, not only in France, and not only for the prime time in France, but for an international audience.
You know, it's interesting just to talk generally about the French industry and kind of where things are right now. When you're looking at television, this is a rare moment when French television is finding its way to American audiences. There are a few series,
Absolutely.
like in the last year. How many of you saw Versailles, for instance? You know, I mean, there is an English language French produced series that was shown here in the U.S. This show Maison Close. Has anyone seen Maison Close? It's like Deadwood in a French whorehouse. It's amazing. It's like by the director of JCVD, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, but that found its way to the U.S. this last year. There are a couple others that are.
Les Revenants 2 years ago.
Exactly right.
And also because we are in a global world, the Americans, they want to produce French series as well. So that's why Netflix produced Marseille.
Right.
And we're going to see it with Amazon as well, pretty much soon. They are starting to develop European local contents in Europe and in Asia. So we're going to have some French series made by American, mostly American digital platforms.
And this is absolutely, I think, a new trend in television. And
Exactly.
It's not limited to France, obviously. There was that South American show that Netflix had that was about, anyway, you guys probably know what I'm talking about. I don't. I'm film critic. But there is this opportunity now for these television creators to sort
Exactly.
of to actually reach an American audience. It's not just about this being a reel or some way to maybe land another job.
And the other way, you have some French company like Gaumont and Pathé who are now back in LA or studio or Canal Plus.
Mm-hmm.
They are based in LA, they develop American series.
Mm-hmm.
There was a famous series for Netflix called Narcos.
Right.
It's actually produced by Gaumont.
Mm-hmm.
It's an American series, but it's 100% French in terms of production. Nobody knows it, but so it's becoming difficult for me because we have some criteria for the selection of the festival. So is it a French film? Is it an American film? That's going to be the challenge.
Well, how do you define that? I noticed there were a couple co-productions, with other countries, and one thing that I really came to appreciate, living in France for a couple of years was how internationally focused the industry is. France really looks to other countries to partner with and to enable their film industries and those voices in those different countries.
Yes, we are back to the cinema because unfortunately, except in the United States, and some people say that even in the United States it can be difficult for them to produce films. But everywhere, almost everywhere in the world, the situation for the production is catastrophic now for a lot of countries. And for filmmakers, it's really difficult to find money. And even for producers, so they need co-producer. And fortunately, in France, we have some very we have some system actually. We support not only the French production but also production from everywhere. So this is why we decided to introduce this series at COLCOA called World Cinema Produced by France a few years ago. And this year we are very proud to have 3 films. It's on Wednesday. And with a special focus, I didn't make it on purpose, but actually we have 2 Italian films, which are actually one of my favorite films of the week. I should have said that. One of them will be released by Strand Releasing. It's called Like Crazy. It was in Cannes last year, I think, at the
That's
Gazette.
right. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very important part of the program because it shows, as you say, the involvement of producers for international production from everywhere, from Asia. Last year we have a Japanese film from South of America. So
This is just maybe an insight worth sharing. Something I learned, kind of abroad, which is like if you look at the Cannes Film Festival, it is the Olympics of world cinema. There are movies from all over the world, and they bring in the best filmmakers, but a good chunk of them are, almost the majority are co-produced by French companies or have French sales agents.
In Cannes, you have 2 kinds of film: the film produced or co-produced by France, and the film produced or co-produced by Amazon. This is the situation now.
That could look scandalous. It could look like French cinema just promoting itself, and to some extent Cannes is in that role. But what you realize is that is the French sensibility.
I know, I understand now something.
Yes, tell me.
I know why so many producers are producing foreign films, not French but international films,
Yeah.
because it's so difficult for a French film to be selected at Cannes
Yeah.
that they have to produce film from other countries to be in Cannes.
It's partly
That's the
true,
reason.
but it's also true that French producers go to Cannes to discover these artists,
Mhm.
and then they enable their next project. They are in a way that I don't think you see any other country doing to that degree, and it's a really wonderful thing about the French artistic sensibility. I think this it's an extension of kind of its the positive side of its colonial past, you know, of not just going to conquer, but going to learn from and bring back from other countries whatever there is to be shared.
Really.
I hope this is our special guest. It's either that or the pizza. So the other Italian film you mentioned is called Sweet Dreams, right? It's the which was at Venice.
It's Marco Bellocchio film.
Yeah.
We are very proud of having. I would never think that I would have a film from Marco Bellocchio at COLCOA, which is a really amazing thing. But yes, this is definitely the trend today. French cinema is very international, for sure. And I think we also have the same situation in the web series. We have an amazing documentaries about a serial killer in Colombia, which is actually an American a film from the United States and Bolivia, produced by France. It's a mix of a documentary and a horror film. I hope people will be able to see it. It's a very intense film.
Did you say that? What was the title of that one?
It's Lifer.
Okay.
And it's an amazing story because at that time in Berlin, it's someone who actually killed, I think, at least 60 people in a very cruel way. And at that time, the maximum sentence was 30 years in jail. And so the film is about this guy living and actually becoming free after 30 years and coming back to reality. So it's very intense. So just to, I wanted to mention something. We were talking about new format, new talent, and something very important for us is new audience. And we have developed an amazing program for the last 10 years. We actually be celebrating the 10th anniversary of our educational program. We have about 3,000 American students coming to COLCOA every year. And we know for sure, we have the statistic, thanks to our partner, Elmar, who is actually supporting us and is a great partner for this program. We know that it has an amazing impact on young audiences in Los Angeles. The feedback is huge. A lot of people who are participating to this even not only come to see other films at the festival, but also now tell us that they would never watch foreign film with their parents or family, but thanks to COLCOA. And they are coming from everywhere, every school, every kind of school, private, public, every district, and they actually are really very much interested, not only French cinema, but foreign cinema now. So we are really proud of it, and if I would say, are you proud of something at COLCOA, I would say yes, at least one thing, the educational program, for sure.
Well, in French cinema is kind of the gateway drug to foreign cinema anyway, right? I mean, it's like, it's accessible, it's sexy, it's, fun, it stars, and once you're hooked by French cinema, then it's just a matter of time before you're out there, like discovering Thai and all the other kind of interesting pockets of the world, Romanian cinema. Who do you think are some of the discoveries, talent-wise, people should be looking for, whether they're writer-directors or maybe a star that you think is a movie that's really going to launch them in the lineup this year?
I would talk about comedies first. There are two famous directors in France who never came to LA. We had for some of them, at least for one of them, we had several films before. But I'm very proud because this time they are coming to LA, to the festival. Eric Laven for the closing film, it's called You Choose, with Alexandra Lamy. A romantic comedy, which it's actually really funny. So the idea for me was, because during the week you're going to see a lot of very serious movie with very intense topics, so it was very important to close the festival with an exclusive film. This is an international premiere of a very entertaining film. The other one is a film with Omar Sy on Sunday. It's called Two is a Family. It's a very successful movie in France, but not only in France, in Europe now. And Hugo Gélin is the director of the film. We had a few films from him in the past, so I'm very happy to have them with us. We also have an amazing program of documentary, and particularly a film made by 3 directors. We're going to have one of them with us. It's called Why Do They Hate Us? And it's about racism, black people, Jews, Arabic people, who are trying to understand why the racism is growing in France again. I mean, in the recent years, something that is a trend now. Mm-hmm. And so they go, like Michael Moore, they take a micro and they go and they ask people who hate them, why do you hate me? Mm-hmm. And this is a conversation between them and people who actually are racist. So it's a very intense documentary shown on Sunday. And Alexandre Amiel, one of the filmmakers, will be at COLCOA. I think the discussion will be very exciting.
How many of the films in the lineup do you think are kind of engaged with kind of where the world's head is right now, politics or topics like racism?
In the program?
Yeah, because a lot of it is just lighthearted thrillers and comedies, but there are movies like this that are...
Yeah, I would say half of the program is very entertaining. Half of the program is really talking about the place of artists. It's interesting. I think it's the very first time that we have this trend, we have this situation at COLCOA. We have a few films that are talking about the role and the importance of the artist in the society. With a film like Paulina, which actually will be released in the US with Oscilloscope, about the story of a Russian dancer, and a biopic about a very famous singers who committed suicide, Dalida.
It wouldn't be COLCOA without a Gainsbourg or
Dalida is coming. Actually, Dalida is really coming. Yeah, it's not really, but the actress will be there. When I say that, I think she's Dalida, really, in the film. So she will come to the festival. So we have the North American premiere of this film. Talking about biopics, we have something about environment. Environment, it's important for us, as you know, and for everybody, even if some people in America think that it's not important. I still think that it's important. So we have a biopic about the Commander Cousteau, who was actually very famous in the United States because his life was very much connected with the US. So Lambert Wilson, who plays the main character, who played the Commander Cousteau, will attend COLCOA this year. And so 2 big biopics. There is one that I really wanted, which opened the Berlin Film Festival, Django Reinhardt, and I missed it.
The Django Reinhardt movie.
Yes, Django, yeah. And it's Django, and so we won't have the film, but the film will be certainly acquired by distributors soon, so you will see the film in the US soon.
Maybe this is like pulling back the curtain too much, but how much like wrestling do you have to do? Because here's COLCOA a month before Cannes. There are distributors who have their own plans for films. It must be very tricky. Part of your job is picking the best, but the other part is trying to convince the best to let you show them here, to let them have their premiere in LA.
It's becoming easier, but the good news is that we don't have everything, and it's good actually because it's very important for the French cinema to exist all the year long in the US and in LA. Not only with the Oscar, but with other events, and the French consulate is very much involved in supporting French cinema for a lot of release. So it's very important to have this balance. For example, it's important to have film at AFI, and AFI does an amazing job for foreign film and French cinema now. So it's important because we don't want to be like a ghetto for French cinema. Even if we have a lot of films, it's important because of COLCOA, some people are going to see more film during the year. Just an example, there's a new documentary from Bertrand Tavernier. We were not able to have the film. I was a little bit frustrated, but the good news is it's coming 1 month later with Col Media Group in the US and in Los Angeles. So you have the opportunity to interview him. That would be great. And I know that Séverine is working with the distributor for that.
Just to reinforce, I mean, it's outside of COLCOA, but this is a real opportunity for French cinema lovers or anyone who would be drawn to COLCOA. This is a 3-hour it's basically Tavernier's equivalent of the Scorsese My Journey Through American Cinema. It's a very personal tour of classic French cinema. And in a way, what you're saying is, what COLCOA does is it provides a platform for movies that might need it. And now there's such a great infrastructure, has long been the case for French cinema, that some movies, can survive on their own without, and you can focus on movies that we wouldn't necessarily see.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it's always important for us to have a world premiere or at least international premiere.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the good news with COLCOA is it will take time for it. We have 1 year to make the selection, which is really a privilege, and thanks to the Franco-American Cultural Fund of the partners, they get us the time to do it.
Yeah.
So at the end, we bring you the best. You cannot imagine how many bad French films I have to see in France. And
I
the
can
worst is still good films that are not formatted for an American audience. It happens also. So you will see the best.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, and part of it too is just release dates. Like, for instance, it could be an amuse-bouche for COLCOA audiences. France in theaters, the François movie is in theaters right now.
We almost had a film that is released before, which is good.
If you haven't seen this movie, make
France.
it a point. Of the Heal the Living, the Catel Kilavere movie would be perfect for you guys, but coming out just before.
Yeah.
Heal the Living, put it on your to see list, is one of the best French films of the year. But in a way, it's about the calendar and about it's an embarrassment of riches problem that there's more French films than you can possibly.
My job is to say no to 80% of the filmmakers and to find the reason why, which is not easy, but it's part of the every programmer has to deal with that.
Yeah. Well, to ask both of you in a way, I mean, let's also talk about what COLCOA does that I don't think everyone necessarily realizes behind the screenings, but there are so many other events and opportunities for these filmmakers, and that's really a part of the mandate of COLCOA, and why you guys are so directly involved too, is that Consul is it's promoting French cinema here in Los Angeles. It's facilitating meetings with agents. It's introducing members of the DGA to directors abroad. But do you want to maybe just talk about a couple of the events that people might not, whether it's a panel or whether it's a cocktail party?
Well, it's important for people to know about the panels because they are for open to the audience. So, but of course, with the consulate, and it's a very tough organization, and actually Anushka is in charge of it. We welcome about 50 people from France during the week. And they have a professional program. They discover LA in a very interesting way. She's very good at it, not for professional reasons, but to discover because every French people has a vision and sometimes some cliché about the city. So the idea is to break the cliché and to go to some places where they can really enjoy LA as it is. So, but for the professional meetings, the idea, COLCOA is for a large general audience, but also for professional reasons. We want people to discover talent, we want distributors to buy films, producers to buy remake rights. So we do everything we can to organize table ronde, distribution lunch. Basically, COLCOA is made for the distributors. This is why we have the film. We are back to your question. I mean, except one or two, all American distributors love to be at COLCOA. Mm-hmm. So it's not difficult to get film from them because they know that it's very useful. Mm-hmm. And also, there are communities that can taste the film with the audience and they can decide if they're going to buy the film and negotiate the film 3 weeks later, now 2 weeks later, at the Cannes Film Festival. And this is why we have a partnership with the Cannes Film Festival now, because we are not a market, but we have a connection with the market in Cannes.
Great. Did you care to add anything about anything?
No, I think what François said is very right about all the French talents that come for COLCOA because they come and present the film. I think for them it's a great occasion to discover the city and have contacts that can be very fruitful in the future and can help them for their future films. So it's a great occasion to build bridges between the French cinema industry and Hollywood here. But I would say it works. I mean, for me, it works both ways. And the diversity of the French cinema has been stressed by François, and I think the program of COLCOA reveals very much this diversity. And this diversity is just the mirror of the French society. And I think COLCOA is also a great way for American people to see a bit of France that can be sometimes out of the postcard that they're used to. And having movies that are not only about Marie Antoinette or Versailles or those kind of things, but having movies, having TV series, having all this production that reflects the reality of what France is at the moment, I think is very important too for the Americans. So I think COLCOA is great for that because it works really both ways, and Debruge works for the French people coming here as well as for the American audience here that see French movies about topics that maybe they were not expecting, perhaps.
And France is a country where there's a much better proportion of women directors to male directors. There are quite a few women directors in every COLCOA lineup, and a handful this year. There's maybe just tease a couple more titles and then we'll kind of wrap up. But I'm thinking of the movie Tour de France, for instance, might be an interesting one to talk about in terms of diversity and how an actor as well known as Gérard Depardieu involves himself with a project like that.
It's amazing, like some actors like Gérard Depardieu or Catherine Deneuve, who are huge stars. They love to play for young directors and first films. So this is already an example of it. And Gérard Depardieu is back at COLCOA. And I don't know why I always schedule the film with Gérard Depardieu after 10. I don't know. It's a coincidence. But by the way, after 10 series is amazing for the audience as well. And the reason why this film is after 10 is because it's, as you say, we try people to open their eyes, to understand, to see the world differently. From some filmmakers who really try something new in the technique, but also in the story. And so this is an amazing story between. It's about racism again, but in a very cute way, I would say. And Depardieu is becoming a rap singer in the film.
If you've ever wanted to see Gérard Depardieu rap, this is your chance.
That's the only opportunity, I guess.
But I'm sure he can.
But and let's just maybe close with the opening. You've got a legend in French cinema, basically kicking off the festival. Tell us about that movie.
Well, it's a film called Everyone's Life, in French, Chacun sa vie. The writer-director is Claude Lelouch, and it was very difficult for me to decide because Claude Lelouch was invited maybe 6 times in 20 years, so it's really exceptional, and he was at the opening night 3 years ago. It was last year at COLCOA. But there are a lot of reasons why I wanted to film for the opening, this film particularly. He made the film just in August. Claude Lelouch is 82 years old. We want to have in the program some veterans. And it's very difficult to find veterans now because they don't work anymore, except Tavernier and Lelouch. Bertrand Billet doesn't work anymore, doesn't work anymore. Doesn't make film now. But I think this film was particularly well done for an American audience. There is a way with the Claude Lelouch movie. It's very interesting because the American audience love him. He should work. He should be American. He should live in the United States because it's really much more popular in the US than in France. Tell you the truth, this is true because this film was released a few weeks ago. It's not a big success, but we actually don't care about the box office in France. What is interesting for us is the American audience, and Claude speaks to the American. It's very funny. Last year we had a film with Elsa Gilberstein and Jean Dujardin, and Quentin Tarantino came to COLCOA to see the film. So we had the meeting between Tarantino and him, and it was in 5 minutes. It was everywhere on the social media, and in France. And in France, the reaction of French people was, "What? Tarantino loves Lelouch? I cannot believe that." Yes, he loves Lelouch, and this is really the way he's doing film is actually for American, and not only the way, because this film is really the film of a new French filmmaker. He broke the rule of cinema of a script. He is doing something that maybe some French people don't understand. They don't understand because it's Lelouch again, but
you know, the best filmmakers are making the same film all the time in a different way. And so it's still Lelouch, but he decided to try something completely new. And it's very provocative, it's very sexual in a way, more sexual. This is not a film for family people. The film is very run on Saturday. So, but it's definitely an interesting film to watch. And we have an amazing cast of 50 French stars in the film, including Johnny Hallyday.
This is one of the most. This is probably the starriest movie in the lineup, and it makes sense that Tarantino would respond. I mean, they're both pop artists.
Exactly.
Who probably respond to that in each other's work. But
yes, and I wanted to, and this is really the film for the opening. This is a film which is completely different. The film. This is the film for the opening, definitely. I don't know how to explain it, but the film that he made last year was much more classic. But this one is so unique. Some people will love it. I guess the American people will love it. French people, it's going to be so-so. But, I mean, we have other film for them for the 10 days, so that's fine.
Well, hopefully that gives you guys a taste of COLCOA, its lineup, and kind of what it represents in terms of the year in French cinema. Now, I guess we'll toast it out on the lawn. Is that the plan? Okay. Well, thanks. Let's hear it for François. Thank you guys.
Thank you.